Hi, everybody. It's Monday, November 2nd. It's great to be with you today. Pray that you're able to join us for online worship. If not, it's still there, and that's a wonderful gift to us that you can go back and see all that and be a part of it. Um, but we're in this series, so we call it Adventure because it looks at the next step in ministry that God is calling us all to take together, both the step of ministry as far as our online presence, how we're really working at that, and how we've learned a lot. But also the step in ministry as we begin to use this building for the ministry God has laid out for us. And our touchstone in the Bible has been the children of Israel, as God called them out of Egypt, right? Gave them meaning and purpose as the children of God, brought them through the Red Sea crossing. Peter says that was like a baptism. Dwells with them in a special way in the tabernacle. So they go through the wilderness and God teaches them, and now they're at the point where they're getting ready to cross the Jordan and enter land. And I made the point yesterday that it finally wasn't about the land, it was about people. And it's about God's people, the Israelites, blessing all the nations of the world. When Abraham was called, he said, through you I'm going to bless all the nations, all the people of the world. And so in this adventure, in this mission that we're on together with Jesus to redeem and restore all people, all things, it's always about people, and it's always about relationship. And that's what we kind of talked about yesterday, how God is giving us this gift of this building, this land that we're entering, the promised land, so to speak, as a tool to connect with people in relationship, and through that, as we share hearts and minds and lives, to touch people with Jesus. And it really struck me that I threw a lot of stuff at you about the example of Jesus. That this is what he did from the very beginning when he called the 12 and did life with them, right? They didn't go to the Hebrew University and the like. But I thought I'd slow it down a little bit and look at some of the examples I just kind of threw out at you, and maybe just go a little deeper. Okay, so that's what we're going to do this week. And this first one is from John. And it says, on the third day, a wedding took place at Cana in Galilee. Now, this is right after he had called some of his disciples, not all of them, but a number of them, Peter and Andrew and John and Nathaniel. And so right after that, before he does anything else, he takes them to a wedding. That's what's happening here. On the third day, a wedding took place. So just 3 days after he called his disciples, a wedding took place at Cana in Galilee. Jesus' mother was there, and Jesus and his disciples had also been invited to the wedding. So they were invited, and they went. Now, I've read a lot of commentaries that said, well, I don't know why Jesus would do that. He has so much important business to do. He was teaching his disciples and us that finally our mission with him is about relationship with people. When the wine was gone, Jesus' mother said to him, they have no more wine. Dear woman, why do you involve me? Jesus replied, my time has not yet come. And so it goes on that they ran out of wine. And then Jesus, he turns gallons and gallons of water into the best wine. The head of the feast said, most people serve the good wine first and then the bad wine, but you've saved the best to the last, right? So Jesus then blesses this gathering of people with the best wine they ever had. And certainly at the end of this, it says, this is the first of his miraculous signs Jesus performed at Cana in Galilee. He thus revealed his glory, and his disciples put their faith in him. So he revealed his glory. So was his glory just about turning water into wine, or is there something more here? I think it was about the fact that Jesus took glory in connecting with people to save us. I remember, and the joy of the life that he's given us and doing life with us. I remember my first Hebrew professor. She had been an Orthodox Jew. And she was going to get married to this Christian guy, and she said, of course you'll become a Jew, because he never went to church. He says, I know that I don't practice Christianity as I should, but I really do believe in Jesus. And so she dug into the Hebrew Scriptures, the Old Testament, and she tried to prove that Jesus was not the Messiah. But she proved herself just the opposite. And she had shared this story with us. She was a delightful, joy-filled person. And I remember one day she took us, it was a beautiful day in Southern California, she took us out of the classroom and she taught us Jewish folk dances that they would use at weddings. And it was a joyous time, huh? This is what Jesus was teaching his disciples, to connect with people and enjoy in the gifts that God had given them. And that way to connect with lives. When you take time to do this, you put yourself on others people's timetable. It's a gift. I remember when Jane and I first were in the ministry, and we had very young children, and she would be invited to a wedding. And sometimes they said, "We'll eat at 6 o'clock, right? The receptions." And it wouldn't be till 7:30 or 8 because they were taking pictures, and this happened and that happened, and the kids would get really hungry, and it was really hard. And finally, we realized that if she was going to go to these things, we had to be able to put ourselves on these other people's time. They weren't worried about time, you see. They were in the joy of the moment, and so we made some adjustments with kids and so forth. But the point is, that's what you're doing when you connect with people. You're putting yourself on their timetable for the sake of relationship. This is what Jesus was teaching his disciples right from the beginning. To connect with people in the joy of the life that God has given us, to put themselves on other people's timetable, to connect with them in meaningful ways, and through all of that, to share the finest wine, to share the wine that only comes from Jesus. So would you pray with me? Dearest Jesus, we're entering this new land. We're entering this new land as we begin to use this building for the tasks that you've given us here, and as we're growing and connecting with online ministry. But Lord, through it all, show us and remind us it's all about relationship. And in that reality, Lord, teach us to put ourselves on other people's time, and to make room then for relationship with others in our lives. And Lord, also fill us with joy in the gifts you've given us, and as we connect in others people's lives, and help us, Lord, to share the finest wine with them that only comes from you. We thank you and praise your name. Amen. Okay, we'll see you tomorrow. Bye-bye.